you will find that the rent now surpasses the actual interest payments. Then and only then you start paying the principal. Why? Because guess who's paying for it? Who do you think's paying for it now? Great, so who's in control of the asset? You are, and you're not even paying for it. You're not even paying for it. All you are doing is getting it to a point where you control it. And the secret or key to wealth creation or creating that wealth is learning how to control asset. So we're going to show you over a 20-year period how you can control asset. So here we go. Based on history repeating itself. After years 2 to 3, when this one here goes what we call neutrally geared, indexed to the first one, you're up for 180,000. That's going to go to 300. You owe 180, that'll go to 600. And let's assume that you've used $50,000 of the second one to help pay out the first one. Okay? Once this one goes positively cash flowed and not a problem anymore, and this one goes neutrally geared, indexed to the first one after years 6 to 7, you buy the third one here, 240 goes to 300, you owe 240, it goes to 600, and you still owe 240. Then once this one here goes positively cash flow, this one goes neutrally geared, and year 10, you buy it for 3, you owe 3, it goes to 6, you still owe 3, gives you 2.4 million in asset and $670,000 in debt. Does anybody have a problem with that? At all. Does anybody know what DSR is and LVR, loan to value ratio, debt to service ratio? Does anybody know what loan to value ratio means? If you had that as an LVR, any bank would semi-load money to you because your debt is far lower than your asset. That is where you need to be. How many people have heard about all these people in all this huge amounts of money but can't borrow money? It's because this is not right. Your loan to value ratio is out because you don't buy properties in growth areas. However, when you get to this point here, let's just say you're a bit nervous. So let's go and sell that one because you've had it the longest. That brings you down to 1.8. You got $70,000 worth of debt. I'm pretty sure after 20 years you should have a bit more than that in there, and I'd eliminate that. Now you've got $1.8 million worth of asset, no debt. Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Fantastic idea. Gives you around about a 6% return, it's about $108,000 a year, which equals about $2,000 plus a week. Is that all right? What's your biggest problem when you're earning got $1.8 million worth of asset? And you're earning that type of money? Yeah, you just sold off your tax write-off. Government love you. Now you're going to be paying tax. I'm suggesting you keep it, and then you sign it all over to me as you get older. I'll look after it. So I'm not suggesting we do that. Question I'm going to ask is this. How many people in the room love that lovely clinical row of 600s? It's fantastic, isn't it? Who bought a house 20 years ago? Anybody here? How much did you pay, sir?
100.
100. 100 goes to 200, goes to 400. So it's worth about 400,000 today?
A lot more than that.
No, it's not. 400. I'd take 4 cash. It doesn't double any more than every 10 years.
That's the bad values, but
Does it? Sure. But
they've done it up.
oh, they've done it up. So you might have got your timing right, huh? You might have got your timing right. All of a sudden, you get your timing right, 3 years doubles, then doubles another 3, and doubles another 3. Hence, that's why property markets go through the roof in certain areas. Has anybody else bought a house 10 years ago? Has anybody got a house in here? I was getting a bit worried. How much did you pay?
15 years ago.
$15,000.
No, 15 years ago.
Yep.
106.
106. What's that, 212? Half of that's about 360 odd thousand.
I sold it 2 years later for three
See, did you sell it?
something. Yeah. But we renovated it and sold
Yeah,
it.
but the thing is, does everybody understand? The numbers nothing's changing those, just the numbers. And when you go backwards, you actually understand what's going on. Because I can tell you now, the common thread that runs through all your people right here in this room. You know of someone who did it. An auntie, an uncle, a cousin, a next door neighbour, a friend. You know of somebody who did that. Armed with all the information in this room, who would make a difference in their life today if they knew that was going to happen? How many people? That's that common thread, isn't it? All I'm saying is nothing has changed. Yes, different areas move faster. Adelaide comes round, WA comes round, even Tasmania, the Plimsoll line's coming out an inch a year. Everybody's leaving. How many people knew about when you could buy property in Tasmania for 60,000? It was on the news, scattered all over the news. Stone cottages on the water. Then all of a sudden people from Victoria realised that we should go over to Tasmania. And they bought all the houses. The prices went from 60,000 to 300,000. Does anybody here know Queensland? At all? Does anybody know Noosa? Yeah. Noosa, is everybody familiar with Noosa? I'll tell you a little story. A mate of mine, Rob Minchy, straight out of the army. What we're going to do is we're going to go and buy a property. Okay, now, if anybody knows Noosa, it's in Hastings Street. It's 500 metres long, and apparently everybody in Australia wants to live in it. I don't know why, but anyway. So anyhow, this place was an old Queenslander. It was smack bang on the beach. 300 square metres of sand. And he said, we should go halves, mate. Do you know why people go halves? Do you know why we go halves?
To like half the debt cover.
It's not to make your mate half the money. It's if it turns to custard, he gets half the grief. True? You know, we'll go halves just in case it doesn't work out, I don't want to lose everything. So we'll go halves. We'll go halves, and I've gone, mate, I've been told that there's white ants in that place. I wouldn't buy it if I was you, but just, you know, it's up to you. You think about it. So off he goes. He toddles off, goes to this little Queenslander, nice Queenslander. It was a restaurant known as the Beach House. So I think you might all be too young to know about the Beach House, but that was a famous restaurant in Noosa on the beach. So armed with Phillips head screwdrivers, off he went. And when the real estate agent John here wasn't looking, he got the screwdriver and he started poking holes everywhere in the thing, and sure enough he found white ants. And we didn't buy it because of the white ants. Then some idiot paid $1 million for it. And we're sitting there having a beer going, I knew you. And it got that actual beach house, the restaurant, then earned $40,000 a year for the next 2 years before it got a demolition order. And the only reason it stood there for 2 years, because all the white ants were like this holding hands. That's the only reason it stood there that long. Got a demolition order, $1 million, thank you very much, and then he went broke, which we knew he would. Another developer come along and he built 3 units for 1 shop. And today it's called Annabelle's. It's in Hastings Street. So we knew about this and said, oh, it's great, he'll go broke. And in 1995, the gentleman sold the shop to pay for the development of the units. And he sold 1 unit, which broke the Queensland residential record at 5.4 million. A figure my mate never lets me forget. And that's just a story that I know about because I was involved. How many stories do you know?
What ifs?
The what ifs. If I could put you all on a bus right now, I could take you back only 10 years. How many people think they can make a better fisticle? How many of us? We'd all make it one. You know why we do it? Because we're absolutely assured of the outcome. That's all. No doubt, we know it's going to work. Why? Because we know it's going to work. The only reason we don't do it is because we're not sure of the outcome. But based on history for the last 150 years of recorded history, nothing's changing. But as long as you learn how to control the largest amount of asset for the least amount out of your pocket cash flow, all to do with controlling asset. Now this plan might be fantastic, but all I suggest to people is this. Just do one. Learn how to control one. And believe me, then it's easy to control two, then three, and then four. But you need to learn how to control asset first. So we're going to feed you tonight. Funny enough, we're going to give you some feed. And but what I'm here to say really is this: I've known my brother for 52 years. I wouldn't have a clue what he wants, nor could I find out what he can buy. So on the back of your little booklet things there's a little thing that says this: yes, you'd like to talk to me, or no, you won't. Now, I'm actually staying here till Friday. Then I'm going to go home. But I've said to George that I'll actually stay and do one-on-one appointments with people. But all I ask is this: on 1 hour of your time, Tim Tams, mint slices, no scones and cream or pipers, because I had that last time, over them. But I do like lamingtons, because I'm fading away on mountains here, and a cup of coffee. That's all I ask. But I'm only here till Friday. Okay? I come backwards and forwards all the time, but I'm only here till Friday, then I'm off. I've got to go away. My son's going to play rugby. That's that game where you don't kick it forward and throw it forward. It's the one where they get down there and they kick the crap out of you, run over the top of you. That one, you don't have to have a team down here, do you? Rugby union?
No.
The rain stuff.
Okay, well done.
Want to talk about it?
Yeah. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, all I ask is this: there's also a poem in there. And that poem was it really did run deep. It said, a little boy came running over the railway bridge down the other side just to see the train disappear in the distance. The porter smiled and laughed and said, son, if you had ran faster, you would have caught that train.